WTF.
Hey everyone, it's Whitney. I'm coming to you today to talk about the winter collection. I know Tiffany already made two really great videos, but I want to talk to you about brushes and specifically brush settings. We have so many brushes in this winter collection, and I want you guys to use them because they're really cool. I know when I started out with Photoshop, I didn't use brushes at all. I hated them. I used the round brush and maybe an eyelash, and that was it. I thought they looked fake. I thought the things that you put on there looked pasted on. But that was before I learned about the brush settings and how to utilize brushes effectively. And that's what I'm going to do for you today is talk about our winter collection brushes and how you can use them in your winter images. I have this image here. I took this on a fabric backdrop. If you look over here, you can see my layers. I have the retouch, the color toning, and the final touches sections. I do this for every single image. This is what the ultimate workflow action is all about. This sets it up for you. And in my final touches, I have these layers. And the first one here is I have the snow action. This is the snow action that comes in the winter collection. Tiffany already talked about it, but I want to just touch on it quickly because it is an action that can take a really long time. I have a 45 megapixel camera, so does Tiffany. And because of that, our images are very large. So it takes a long time to process that large of image. And it also depends on your processor speed. I have this computer I'm working on is only about a month old, so it screams on this processor. With a 45 megapixel image and really fast processor, that Blizzard action takes about 20 seconds on my computer. But on Tiffany's, who has an older processor and a large image, she's got the worst of the worst case scenario. It took her 7 minutes to run that action, and on my old Mac, it took me 10. So yeah, it's going to depend on your image size and your processor speed. So if you have a ton of mini session Christmas images to work through, that action might not be right for that. But for these just single images where you want the really great snow, the 3D looking snow with different depths, if you open it up, you can see, look at all these layers here. I don't have that top one turned on because it was just a little too much for this image, but it's got 6 layers of snow, which is so amazing. And the other good thing about this action is it's legal in photography competitions. So, in a lot of photography competitions, you can't have overlays or anything that you didn't shoot yourself. But this action actually pulls pixels from your image. And every time you run it, it's going to be a little different. So, since it's your image, it's legal because technically these pics are your pixels that you shot. So, that's another bonus. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about that action. I'm here to talk about brushes. So, let's get to it. Okay, so I have these 3 layers here. I have bokeh I added. I added in this one, I added I added icicles to the back window there, and that I added a bow to the wreath. Okay, so let's turn them off because we're going to do these together. Let's go over to our actions and look at our lights here. So I have add white lights, add yellow lights, add candle flames, and add colored lights. So let's just run add white lights. So this is going to set up my white light layer. It says choose a white brush at 100% flow and opacity. Set it slightly larger than your light. With the black mask selected, pop little circles onto your light, adjust opacity to layer as needed, click several times to increase intensity. For a layered glow, run again and change size of brush and opacity. Okay, so this is kind of talking about like if you have a lantern or a street light and you want to layer the glow where you want the wide glow around it, but you also want the intense glow of where the bulb or the flame is. This can also apply to Christmas lights, but Christmas lights are a little more just one pop touch. Okay, so we have our action here, our white light glow. Let's just choose one of these bokehs. Let's just choose 121. I'm going to start popping. What the heck is going on though? You can't even see it. I mean, oh, I'm on black. Well, that might help. But I'm on black, but it's so light. They're not even, you can barely even see them. What's going on? Just doesn't give the effect I want. I want them scattered around. I want them different intensities. So we're going to do that with this brush, and I'm going to teach you how. So with the same brush selected, I want you to go to brush settings. It might not be here in your panel, so you might have to go to window, brush settings. But however you get there, go to your brush settings panel. And what I want you to notice is we have a whole list here of things that are checked and unchecked. And these are your brush settings. Now I'm going to uncheck all of the, actually I'm going to keep smoothing on, but I'm going to uncheck all the rest of them, and we're going to talk about each one. Let's start with shape dynamics. Now, if you actually click shape dynamics on and off, it's going to turn it on and off, but it's not going to show you the properties. You're not going to see the properties until you click on the actual shape dynamics line. Sorry, my cat just climbed on my lap. Okay, so now that I'm clicked on the line, I see a whole bunch of different things about the shape dynamics. We have size jitter, we have minimum diameter, tilt scale, angle jitter, roundness jitter, minimum roundness, and then these checkboxes down here. Okay, so let's start with size jitter. Okay, what jitter is it's the variance on either side of the setting. Okay, so you're going to see jitter, you're going to see scatter. I mean, what's the difference? Well, jitter, they're going to use a lot. So you can see angle jitter, roundness jitter, and a lot of these have a jitter about them. So a size jitter is, I have my size, let's just set it to 50% just to make it a nice even number. My brush is going to change in size 50% larger and 50% smaller of the brush size I have selected. So I have my brush is at 121 pixels, 121 pixels. So every time I click it, it's going to vary 50% larger than 121 to 50% smaller than 121. And so you're going to see how it's getting bigger and smaller, right? That's because of my size jitter. Okay. I am going to blow this away just to keep it even. Okay. So the minimum diameter is, so I don't want my size to ever go to 0. So I have it set to 1%. So that's always going to be the minimum is 1% of whatever my size is. I just have that set just to make it so it never goes to 0. Tilt scale, this is only going to come live if you choose a control. So my controls here are I have a Wacom tablet selected. So you see pen pressure, pen tilt, and my stylus wheel is from my mouse. I don't really use this a lot because I don't really care much about tilt scale. Maybe if you get deeper into brushes, you can learn more about this. Now, angle jitter, again, this isn't going to do much with a round brush because the angle of something round is, if it changes, you're not going to see the difference. But if you think about something like a snowflake, the angle is how much it turns right or how much it turns left. And roundness is how much it moves forward at you or how much it recedes away from you. So again, with something round, it's just going to look more oval if it's coming at you or receding from you. But if you have something like, let's look at the brushes. If you have something like this light bulb right here, it's absolutely, you're going to want to have the roundness jitter turned up, because as you can see how it looks flat, like, or kind of funky looking now, because it in real life, lights are going to be pointed at you, they're going to be pointed away from you. So that's going to actually make sense for that kind of a brush. Let's go back to our 121 there, and let's turn these off. Let's keep smoothing on because smoothing is good. Okay, so that's shape dynamics. And then again, you can flip your jitter on the x-axis or the y-axis if you want as well. Again, since mine's round, I'm just going to leave those checked off. Okay, scattering. So now what's scattering? Okay, so I want you to look at this box down here. So what scattering is how much to the right or left it's going to transfer itself. So every time I click, is it going to go to the right or to the left? You can see if I go scatter real high, it spreads out. And if I make scatter real low, it goes almost into a straight line. So 50%, well, actually, so this can go a lot, right? Because it depends on how far you want it. So it's not really dependent. It is dependent on your brush size, but it's dependent on how wide whatever you want to be. So like I'm looking at this and I'm thinking like 250 is probably good for this garland size because I don't want it to go way over here or way over here. I want it to stay on the garland. So we're going to check out 250 and see if it works. And how many do you want it to scatter? Do you want one or do you want, nine? This is what nine is going to look like here. I think that's a little much. This is what 3 will look like. I still think that's a little much. So let's just do 1. And then the count jitter is how much it's going to change every time. So if I had it go up to 10, sometimes it's going to put 10 out there. Sometimes it's going to put 1 out there. Sometimes it's going to put 9, 8, 7, 6, whatever. That's the jitter, right? But since I have 1, I don't really need a jitter because there's never going to do, it's just 1. Okay. So texture is, sometimes you're going to have a texture inside a brush. Like we're not going to have that here, but if you have like a feather or something, you can have a feather texture inside of it. A dual brush, this is something like, so you choose another brush and then you can have a brush within a brush. So if I chose that Christmas light again, the Christmas bulb, and then I chose this circle, I would have bulbs inside of a circle. But that's not important here. Color dynamics is kind of cool because you can actually have your colors change of your brush. So you could have like a red here and like a purple here, and you can change your hue. And every single time you click, it will be a different color. It will change. So that's really useful for colored lights if you want these lights to be colored. You can also jitter the brightness. So this would be the foreground and background jitter. So how much you want it to change. And then the hue, how much you want. This would be how much you want it to change. And this would be what colors do you want to change. And then you can change the saturation and the brightness and the purity of your color. I'm not going to put that on for this. Transfer is your flow and opacity. So you think that would be a very useful thing, but it would, and this is up at 91%, but you don't want a lot of lights that are at like 2% opacity because you're not going to see them. So you could definitely just change your opacity jitter to maybe 5%, and that's nice. And flow, same thing, 5, maybe go up to 10. You don't want it too crazy because then you just won't see it. Don't worry about the brush pose. Noise, like if you want to add noise. Wet edge, I mean, that's just how much it blends into the colors around. And build up, that's nice if you hold your brush down. So if you click down onto your image with the brush and you hold it down, will it get darker and darker and darker and darker and darker the longer you hold it? That's what buildup is. Smoothing is how smooth, like if you hold your brush down and you drag over and it pops all these little circles on. Smoothing is how smooth will it add the details, kind of, I guess. Okay, so this is what we have here. So we have our shapes. We're going to change our size. Angle, really, like I said, it isn't that important because we have circles. I mean, you can see it's just going in a circle. Ours are a little oval shape. That's why it's actually moving down here, but really it doesn't matter. Scattering, how much is it going to spread out? Transfer, flow, and opacity. Okay, so now that we have that, I am going to click on my garland. I'm going to hold my left mouse button down and I'm going to go over my garland. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That's perfection right there. I mean, that's exactly what we wanted. We even got the size jitter right. That 250 was a good number. Maybe we could go a little wider, but I don't think that's bad. I think it's a little bright. I would bring the opacity down maybe. Let's see what 75 looks like. Yep, I think like that. And then I would also maybe go and I would take it off the things that should be in front. So I am going to switch to a black brush and I'm just going to, it's because I had should go back to just a regular brush without any brush settings. Okay, so while we're on this white light glow, let's add some Christmas lights to our Christmas trees. Let's see. We have that. Those are just little dots. We have that. Oh, those are big sparkles. And then we have this has bokeh. I'm going to use this one because it's like bokeh, kind of matches my garland. So I'm hitting the bracket keys. The bracket keys make it go smaller. Left bracket makes it go smaller, right bracket goes larger. And now I'm going to hit my arrow keys to change the angle a little bit. And I'm just going to pop. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to hit my, arrow key, my bracket key, my right bracket key to make it larger, my right arrow key to turn it back, and I'm going to pop. Great. Okay. What brush settings do they have? They have nothing. That's good because it shouldn't have anything. Now, one thing to also remember is it's going to save your brush settings. So if you ever get any wonky results with brushes, go take a look at the brush settings and see what is checked. Like if you played around with it, or even if the brush creator like me, played around with it and we didn't clear them out, there might be wonky brush settings in there. So always go and take a look at your brush settings when you're doing some creative brushes like this. Okay, I'm going to choose a regular brush. I'm going to go to black. I'm going to switch to black, and I'm just going to make it a lot smaller. I'm just going to take these lights off, like where it went over these presents here, and then I see it went off the side of the Christmas tree a little bit. Okay, so I'm just coloring with the black white. I don't know why it goes white over here when I color. It's weird. Didn't do that on my Mac. Okay, so now if I pop that on and off, look at that. That's super cool. Love it. Okay, so let's look. What was this? Oh, so this layer, I just used the icicles, and I popped some icicles on there. So let's bring down the size because that's crazy huge. That's crazy small. Crazy small. Brushes are weird with their sizes. Exponential. Okay, so I'm just going to turn this off because I'm going to show you what I did. I'm going to go to create a blank layer. Let's just look at our brush. Okay, yep, no brush settings. That's good. That's what we want. I'm going to hit my right bracket to make it a little bigger. I'm on black. I want white. And I'm going to click there. And then I'm going to click there. I'm going to go to a regular brush. Put a layer mask on it. I'm going to choose a black brush. And I'm just going to take it off the present, her face and hat there. And now I'm going to take my flow and I'm going to go down to 5. I'm just going to kind of blend the top of this so it's not so hard, so it looks a little more realistic. All right. All right, now what is our last one? Oh, that's the other one. That's the icicles. Oh, and that's a bow. Okay, let's add a bow. And let's add a blank layer. I think that was this bow that I chose. And I'm hitting the Alt key, and I'm going to just choose a color in her dress, maybe a darker color. I'm going to go down size, hitting my left bracket. And I'm still at flow 5. I want to go 100. And I'm just going to pop it on there. Again, let's look at our brush settings. Should be nothing. Yep, nothing. And I think that looks kind of fake. Just kind of paste it on there. So we're going to have to do a little bit. So let's go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. Oh, I think 5's good. That was probably what I had on last time I did it. But I still think it looks a little maybe fake. So let's right click on our bow layer and go to blending options. And let's see, I think bevel and emboss. Yeah, look at that. That looks really great. And then a drop shadow. Yep, love it. So that's what I did before. So I made it look a lot more realistic. And maybe even just drop the opacity just to bring some of the background colors through, like 98. Yeah, 95. I think that looks really good. That looks more realistic. Okay, so there's a lot more brushes in this. We have Santa, we have candy, we have bows, we have strings of lights, we have Christmas trees, we have light bulbs, we have lots of bokeh. We have snow, more bokeh. These are more, lots of bokeh, concentrated bokeh. Snow, we have snow blizzards, and this is frost, and then we have icicles. I like this, there's this frost border. So if you make it as large as it can go, I think it goes to 5,000. Yeah. Oh, that's actually too big. Let me get a new blank layer and let me go to white. And then let's bring it down to the width of my picture. And I'm just going to pop. Okay, so now you see it like went over her feet. But if I choose the layer and I bring it down, I can size it. Look at that. That's pretty cool. It's not really perfect on this image because there's already snow on it, but that's how you would size it. You can size brushes too, which are really cool as long as they're on their own layer. So, I mean, I don't know. I kind of like that. It kind of gives it a vignette of frost. You can do that with this one and that one. And then this is frost you can put on like windows, which is really cool. Okay, so that's brushes and that's brush settings and that's how you use them and how you would incorporate all them all together. Brushes can be really cool and give you a lot of really cool effects. If you have any questions, please join our Facebook community. And we're always checking that and we're always willing to help anything that you guys need. Okay, well, enjoy your winter shoots and your mini sessions, your winter mini sessions. I can't wait to see what you guys produce.